article is going to be about writing with emojis. I'm going to use emojis to kind of help explain this video. But before I do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about my own personal experience, not about exactly what's happening right now, but just how in my life I've seen red flags. And I hope to start this discussion off by explaining why when you start to see red flags, immediately end the relationship. It's never worth the trouble. It's not worth staying at the job. It's not worth staying in a dating relationship. It's not worth hanging out with the wrong people. It's never worth it. It never pays off in the end. So some people think that they can kind of work things out, but based on my experience, if in the beginning you see these red flags, it's not worth it. So let's start off by I just want to show you some of these emojis that I'll use. I think it's a lot of fun just using these emojis to sort of highlight what I'm saying about the red flags. But I wanted to start off by telling you how these types of people operate. When you are living your best life and you're having fun in your life and you're going places and doing all the things that you put your mind to, you're going to start to attract people who probably aren't the people you want around you. It's just something that happens. I don't think I'm any different from anyone else. I do think Black females in particular are especially vulnerable because of our place in society. And that's just being real, that's just being honest. So I feel like as a Black female, we do tend to attract these types of people who feel that we are easier to hurt without any consequences. So without going into the details of this situation, and you can look at some of my previous videos, I would like to discuss some of the red flags that you see. I feel that broken down people attract broken down things. So when you are in a vulnerable position, you're going to be vulnerable not just because you're in that position, but because people see you in that position. But it also works on the flip side. When you are living your best life and you're having a great time and you're doing all the things you set your mind to and what you've planned for yourself, there will be people who don't want you to accomplish those goals. And they're going to put up obstacles in your path. So it's part of being a victim of crime is that you don't want to blame yourself. This is the time in your life when you take self-care. You take those moments to take care of yourself. You continue to do the things that make you happy. I was talking to my mom about this, and we discussed how important self-care is at this time. Even if it's a small thing like doing your nails, you'll notice in my videos I have chipped nail polish. It's chipped because I put the polish on, and that makes me feel better. But because of all the other things, I have to kind of ignore my nails sometimes. But that little break is that bit of self-care that I use. And everyone has their own little thing that will help them get through difficulties. So in these pictures, I'm showing you a lot of the good times. There were so many good times. And that's what kind of gets me through the bad times. So that's another part of this self-care. The idea that there were so many good times and how I know those good times will return. It's just a matter of getting through the bad times. So let's talk about some of the red flags that you see when you are dealing with these types of people. So the first thing you should be doing when you see a red flag is stop. Stop dead in your tracks. Literally just stop. When that person says something to you that makes you feel less than, and that's one of the things that these types of people will do. They're hypercritical and judgmental. If someone says something to you, whether it's a criticism about your weight, about the way you dress, the way you do your hair, immediately stop. That's a red flag. Because in a loving relationship or even in a professional environment, those things aren't allowed. There are laws against saying the wrong thing in a professional environment. And in a loving relationship, someone isn't going to be hypercritical because that person is going to want to support you. Think of it like this. If you are in a loving relationship, that person wants you to be happy. That's why it's a loving relationship. Why would someone who wants you to be happy say or do something to make you unhappy? So immediately stop. That's a red flag. You also want to be in a relationship where you are allowed to say what you feel, acknowledge what's going on, and be free to talk about it with other people. Anytime someone tells you not to talk about something, not to communicate what's going on with other people, that's a red flag. Okay? You gotta know right away that if you are in a good relationship, you should be yourself. That's why we have a B. You should be able to be yourself. And people should be able to be in touch with you and know what's going on in your life without you feeling like you have to keep things secret. One of the biggest red flags you'll see in with these types of people is that they don't want you to communicate what's going on in your life with other people. They want to restrict your means of communication. They want to restrict who you are around, and they want to restrict how many people you're in contact with. So that's another, I spoke about this in a previous video about narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissists feel like they should be the central part of your life, and they're threatened by outsiders. And anyone could be an outsider. Even your own family can be an outsider. So they're constantly trying to restrict your movements, what you say and do, and your environment. That's a red flag. So we have this little turtle emoji. And this turtle emoji means it's okay to move slow. It's okay to take your time. A lot of turtles and tortoises live a very long life. And I think part of the reason they live long lives is that they move slow. They assess their environments. And when it's an unsafe environment, they're okay with going into their shell. And that's the point. You should, as a healthy person, when you are using self-care, feel like it's okay to go within yourself. You don't have to share all of your personal information with people. That's what narcissistic people want. They want you to be an open book so that they can push the buttons that they need to push to manipulate you. It's okay to tell them it's none of their business. I said this in a jewelry video. You don't have to tell people everything about you. You don't have to give them information, because regular healthy people, we don't care about all of that information. But people who have narcissistic personality disorders, or people who are trying to take advantage of you, want as much information. It's like, gimme, gimme, gimme. Give me all the information about you. That's what they want. Because what they do with that information is they use it to manipulate you and to control you. A normal, healthy person has his or her own life to deal with, and they're not going to want to intrude on your space. That's what I mean by having them trying to restrict you, because they don't want you to have boundaries. Healthy people want you to have boundaries because we have boundaries. So making yourself a target, and that's part of the reason I started this video off with showing you pictures. When you're living your best life, you're so busy doing all these things that inadvertently you may become a target of these types of people. They see you and they have their reasons and they target you. It's not your fault. It's the point is, you want to do everything possible to restrict them from restricting you, meaning prevent them from making you a target. But these are people who do this on a regular basis, so it isn't your fault. You cannot allow these types of people to blame you for their actions. And that's exactly what they will do, because they are manipulative people. So they will try to restrict you and control you and override your boundaries. The goal is to always let them know you are your own person, you are an individual, and you are entitled to have boundaries. It's very healthy to have boundaries. So this siren sound and emoji means use caution. These people are not good people to be around, because what these types of people do in the long run is that they blame you for their shortcomings. So no matter how much you do to stop these people from violating you and stepping over the boundaries, these people will blame you for their actions. It's never worth it. It's never worth it. So this X means don't even bother. We've all learned in our lives that there are people out there who are unsafe people. And when you see these red flags, don't bother. In your mind, think of this X and go, run for the nearest exit. Okay? So here, I just want to sum this conversation up like this. If you have to think about whether someone is a good person for you to be around, that person probably isn't. You don't usually have to think that much about whether or not someone is safe for you. Usually, if you have to even think about it or figure it out, more than likely that person isn't a good person for you. So as we saw with all these emojis, you shouldn't have to think that hard. Anybody who tells you not to communicate what's going on around you or in the relationship you're having, you should run for the nearest exit. Be cautious. Stop, move slowly so you don't make yourself a target. So thank you for watching. I hope that this isn't happening to you, and I hope that if it is, you have a network of people, a positive network of people who can help you deal with it. Always call the authorities. There are so many people who can help you get out of these situations. And feel free to leave comments and, of course, share your experiences. Thanks for watching. See you soon.